Alright guys, what's up? We got a deadlift, back, and triceps workout here. So that's a little different. Something I haven't done before, but I'm prepping for a powerlifting meet at Outlier Fitness in Beloit, Wisconsin. Awesome gym. So kind of just decided to sign up, and I had maybe 7 weeks to prep, which I would usually want more, but I haven't powerlifted, I haven't done a competition in about 3 years, so I'm wanting to get back into it, not, get overly concerned with hitting all-time bests. It's been a while since I've done heavy lifts on the big three, so just kind of getting back in the swing of things. So going through the deadlift warm-up sets right now. I also did some warm-up on the bike and some hip stretching, but didn't catch that on video. So after these, we'll get into the work sets, which is 405 for some singles, and then a rep set after that, and we'll just let that play right now. Okay, so that was all the single rep sets with kind of a short rest in between each one. That is just practice of the first rep, because on a deadlift you're starting from a dead stop. So you really got to practice that first rep. And there's the rep set. So that felt pretty good. Nowhere near a all-time best or anything. For being a little rusty with heavy deadlifts and tweaking my back a couple weeks ago. Pretty happy with how that felt. As I mentioned earlier, the first rep on a deadlift is so tough because you're starting from a completely dead stop. You don't have any stretch reflex. You don't get to feel the weight on the way down. But you do after the first rep. So oftentimes you'll find that the next several reps are actually easier than the first one, unless you get super good at your positioning and first rep power. But it's good to do reps as well, because you want to be able to challenge the muscles in a more fatigued state. So the reps are slowing down, you're having to push through some strain a little bit while maintaining position, which you're not going to get if you're just doing single reps that are submaximal, and you can't do a bunch of 1 rep max, really heavy sets to practice that first rep. It's going to be too fatiguing and your form's going to break down. So it's a good idea to have both. Okay, moving on to accessories. So we're doing lat pull downs first. Just 2 hard sets, not going crazy on volume. Some quick lat pull down tips. Lean back a few degrees, just a little bit, and then maintain that angle. Try to keep your rib cage down, so that's going to require you to engage the abs a little bit, just so you're not overextending in the upper back. And lastly, you can let the shoulder blades move a little bit, but you don't need to let them fully elevate and stretch on the way up. You can actually lose tension on the lats doing that. So try to keep them somewhat locked in place. Moving on to a rowing exercise. We're doing a chest supported row on this T-bar machine here. This is a gnarly machine and doesn't need a lot of extra weight to feel really heavy really fast. There's just 25s on each side right now. The heaviest I've done on this is doing one plate for about 7 reps all out, and that's when I'm fresh at the beginning of the session. So there's some fatigue already in the back here, of course. Every machine is going to feel a little bit different, or a lot different, and require different amounts of weight to be added. So you just have to go by feel and look at things on a machine-by-machine basis. A perfect example is that machine just in the background. That's another rowing machine, but obviously a different setup. And you know, on this machine where I'm struggling with just 25s on each side, and at the most doing a 45 on each side, I will use up to 3 plates on that other machine, and it feels just as challenging, but it's completely different amount of plates that you're putting on. And then here I just felt like doing a little bit of a drop set, so we just took all the weight off, and it's still pretty heavy, especially after you're already fatigued from the last set, without adding anything to it. So you can see I'm kind of laughing at how difficult that is with nothing on it. And then moving on to some tricep work. Again, keeping volume quite a bit lower than I normally do when I'm focused on muscle building, because I want to drop as much fatigue overall as I can while I'm preparing for this meet, and direct most of my training effort towards the big 3 lifts, squat, bench, and deadlift, but also trying to stay as fresh as I can in my training and going into the meet, so I can be as strong as possible. Because if you're carrying lots of fatigue, you can't demonstrate your true strength until you clear most or all of that fatigue. So we're doing a overhead cable tricep extension seated. This is just a new movement that I've really been enjoying. Obviously you're getting lots of stability from the seated position. The cable and using this daisy chain attachment is just very smooth and natural feeling on the joints, on the wrists and elbows and everything. But you can do these standing too. You don't have to drag a bench over. It's still a very effective exercise, just trying a different variation out here. Yeah, not much to say on these. Just find a comfortable elbow angle. That's the nice thing about using a rope attachment or an attachment like this, is because you get more freedom in how you position your hands and your elbows, and you can get in a neutral hand position with this. If you feel like you're just working your elbow joints instead of your actual triceps, then you probably need to reduce the weight and or slow it down. Otherwise these should feel pretty smooth. And I actually decided to do a couple extra sets of triceps. So this is one way to do the standing overhead version, where you do it from a high angle and use the post as a stability point, putting your hips on there. So this kind of makes it more like a skull crusher when you look at the line of force where the cable's pulling in relation to your upper arm. That's more like a skull crusher, but still really, really good tricep exercise. And then just gonna do some extra push downs for fun here. And now getting towards the end of the workout, did some back extensions on this back extension machine that has some weight that you can hold on to. First time using this, but feels really good, and just feels nice on the back too after doing some heavy deadlifting. And if you want this to be like a real overall posterior chain movement where you're getting pretty equal contribution from the glutes, hamstrings, and lower back. You want that top of the pad lined up with the top of your hips. Okay, and then we're wrapping up with some decline sit-ups. You know, people often avoid doing any kind of spinal flexion like this and just focus on planks and all that, and that's good, but there's some value in doing some actual, you know, core, some ab exercise that takes you through a range of motion, and working the hip flexors. You're actually working the hip flexors here as well, and you don't need to avoid doing that. You just want to use abs and hip flexors. That's it for this one, guys. We got chest, back, and shoulders bench press workout coming up next. Subscribe and like the video if you want to keep seeing how to keep making progress without adding more and more days and hours in the gym.